allowing the bombing to proceed was only one of a series of interrelated performances climaxing with 9/11. The first was in connection with the murder in New York of the Jewish extremist Meir Kahane. The FBI and New York police actually detained two of the murderers in that case and then released them, allowing them to take part in the World Trade Center bombing of 1993. A key trainer of the two men was Ali Mohammed, whose name was systematically protected from disclosure by the prosecuting attorney Patrick Fitzgerald. Then in 1994, when Ali Mohammed was detained in Vancouver by the Canadian RCMP, the FBI intervened to arrange for Ali Mohammed's release. This freed Mohammed to proceed to Kenya, where he became the lead organizer of the 1998 embassy bombing in Nairobi. Following this atrocity, Ali Mohammed was finally belatedly detained by the Americans, but still not indicted. He was apparently still a free man when he readily confessed to his FBI handler, Jack Clunan, that he knew at least 3 of the 9/11 hijackers and had helped instruct them in how to hijack airplanes. We have to conclude that there is something profoundly dysfunctional going on here, and has been going on since before 9/11, indeed under both political parties. The conditions of secrecy created by special liaison clearances have not just masked this dysfunctionality, they have, I would argue, helped to create it. The history of espionage tells us that secret power, when operating in the sphere of illegal activities, becomes time after time antithetical to public democratic power. Add to these conditions of unwholesome secrecy the fundamentally unhealthy, indeed corrupt, relationship of U.S. intelligence agencies to those of Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. This has been profoundly anti-democratic both at home and in Asia. The U.S. dependency on Saudi oil has in effect subsidized a wealth-generated spread of Islamic fundamentalism throughout the world, while what ordinary Americans pay for oil and gas doesn't go into the public treasury, but generates huge sums which Saudis then recycle into the financial institutions like the famous Carlyle Corporation at the very pinnacles of Wall Street. In like manner, America's unhealthy relationship to the ISI of Pakistan has resulted in a bonanza in Afghanistan for the international heroin traffic. 93% of the world's heroin now comes from Afghanistan. My book, American War Machine, is very, very interested in that subject. In short, the bureaucratic dysfunction we are talking about in 9/11 is a symptom of a larger dysfunction in America's relationship to the rest of the world. Now I'll talk about liaison agreements and relevance to the case of Al-Midar and Al-Hazmi. Even without the suggestive precedent of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, it is legitimate to posit that liaison agreements may have inhibited the roundup of Khalid al-Midar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. Let us consider first Fenton's finding of fact. It is clear that this information about the two men was not withheld through a series of bizarre accidents, but intentionally. This finding I consider rock hard. But we can question his explanation that, quote, the purpose of withholding the information had become to allow the attacks to go forward. I believe that, in fact, there are a number of possibilities about the intention, ranging from the relatively innocent the inhibitions deriving from the liaison agreement to the nefarious. Before considering these, let us deconstruct the notion of letting the attacks go forward. Clearly, if the hijackers were not detained at the airport gates, people would have been killed. But how many? Recall that in the Operation Northwoods documents, the Joint Chiefs wrote, quote, "We could develop a communist Cuban terror campaign," close quote, in which, quote, "we could sink a boatload of Cubans," close quote. Would the loss of 4 plane loads of passengers have been a qualitatively different tragedy? Of course, 9/11 became a much greater tragedy when 3 of the planes successively hit the 2 towers and the Pentagon. But I suspect that the liaison minders of the 2 Saudis did not imagine, any more than we can imagine, that their targets were capable of such a feat. Recall that their flying lessons, even in a Cessna, were such a fiasco that the lessons were quickly terminated. Their instructor told them that, quote, flying was simply not for them. And they ended up not being pilots, but so-called muscle hijackers. Let me suggest that there are 3 separable ingredients to the 9/11 attacks: the hijackings, the strikes on the buildings, and the unexpected and unexplained collapse of the 3 WTC buildings. It is at least possible that the Alex Station liaison team, as a group, never contemplated more than the first. The video of the South Tower attack, in which Flight 175 does not even begin to slow down, persuades me that this flying feat was achieved by robotics. The robotics engineers, and I may disagree with David on this, need not be American. They could be from any group or country, though I do very much doubt that Al-Qaeda had a robotics command in the caves of Tora. A minimal, least malign initial explanation for the withholding of information about 2 of the hijackers would be the hypothesis I proposed in the case of Ahmad Salim, the constraints established by a liaison agreement. But just as in 1993, the secret power created behind the wall of restrictive clearances may have been exploited for ulterior purposes. The dangerous situation thus created of potential would-be hijackers being protected from detention at a time of expected attack may have inspired some to exploit it as a pretext for war. One clue to this more sinister intention is that the pattern of withholdings detailed by Fenton is not restricted exclusively to the 2 Saudis and their CIA station handlers. There are a few concatenating withholdings. Above all, the Able Danger info at SOCOM and an important intercept, apparently by NSA, of a call between hijack organizers KSM and Ramzi bin al-Shir, apparently about the hijackers and also Musawi. Now, if the NSA was withholding information from relevant audiences, it would recall the role of the NSA at the time of the second Tonkin Gulf incident in August 1964. Then, the NSA, at a crucial moment, forwarded 15 pieces of SIGINT, signals intelligence, which indicated, quite falsely, that there had been a North Vietnamese attack on 2 destroyers. At the same time, the NSA withheld 107 pieces of SIGINT, signals intelligence, which indicated correctly that no North Vietnamese attack had occurred.